If you are interested in starting a podcast like us, Anchor is a great way to start. It's free, it can automatically distribute your podcast to other platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. You can record and edit directly on Anchor, and you can make money without any minimum requirements. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. This is why we chose Anchor as our first audio platform. Download the Anchor app or visit anchor.fm to get started. Again, download the Anchor app or visit anchor.fm to get started. Welcome back to the third episode of Law of Ball. The playoffs are underway. Many storylines have taken the NBA by storm, and this is only the first round. We have three playoff series, or five now, that have concluded, and a few more in closeout games. But the most important topic in the NBA right now is the boycott/strike. So, what were your thoughts on that?
I mean, I'm just excited that the playoffs are going to continue, and I'm really in support of everything that the NBA is doing with their coalitions and whatnot, like opening up their stadiums as polling places in the general election in November. I think it's really great what they're doing, and I would have supported the players if they decided to boycott the playoffs, but I'm excited that they're resuming.
Yeah, everything what Kyron said. Yeah, I agree with what he said. I'm glad the playoffs are coming back. I support what the players are doing, what the owners want, and everything else. It's a
Yeah.
good,
Yeah,
it's a good cause.
it was kind of unorganized though at the beginning. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I like what the Bucks did, like with this, because it did happen in Wisconsin, but like they should have organized it better because there were just random Woj and Shams bombs coming, but like no one actually knew what was going on.
Yeah. I mean, I really like that they came to a sort of like a compromise that's really like more of like moving forward where they can play basketball and they're also doing much more than every other sports league and any other like private institution in terms of actually like doing like actionable things that are helpful. Like opening up polling places is good regardless, like on
Yeah,
a bipartisan basis.
compared to like National Football League or MLBs, like, you don't see them doing the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I guess let's get into the series. The first one concluded last night, Lakers Blazers. What are your thoughts?
I don't think anyone's surprised by this.
Yeah, Lakers in five. I thought that Lakers in four originally, and when the Blazers won that one game, everybody was really surprised. But it was pretty obvious with just like comparing the rosters that the Lakers were more talented, and the Blazers were kind of a one-hit wonder.
Yeah,
I kind of disagree with that. I don't think the Blazers are a one-hit wonder. I think when you look at the Blazers roster, it's not that bad. The regular season was like a little plagued with injuries and it cost them a few games. But I feel like the Blazers can return to the playoffs next year, but it'll be a very competitive.
See,
it'll be
I
way
think
harder.
they can return, but they need a better two for Lillard than not two as in shooting guard, two as in the second best player, like to play alongside Dame, then CJ McCollum. I think that CJ is kind of redundant when you have another small guard who's not that good at defense, whose main attribute is like a good scoring guard. I think that'd be better if they got him like some sort of wing to play with.
Yeah, I agree with that too.
I
Because
don't know if they will make the playoffs though.
yeah, the West, that's the other thing. The West is so strong. You can't just have a mediocre team actually performing well. If they're really going to want to perform well, they have to beat the Lakers, Clippers, Rockets, Nuggets, all these other young teams too. I don't think that their ceiling is high enough to actually be a legit contender unless they make some big moves in the offseason.
Yeah, I want to piggyback off what Karen said about getting a wing for Damian Lillard to play with. I think Gary Trent Jr. is a great guy, but again, that's another small player that's not defensive and not the type of second option you want with a scoring guard like Damian Lillard.
Yeah. I don't know how the contracts work, but I think that a team that would be willing to trade a pretty good wing for McCollum, it would actually make sense for both teams. Like, for instance, I don't think the contracts work in this situation, but the Celtics have an overabundance of threes and fours that they have, and they could use like another guard to pair with Kemba. So that would make sense for a trade with them. However, I think that their guards are on different like scales contracts than McCollum is, so it wouldn't make sense technically, but theoretically, some other team that has an abundance of wings would actually also benefit from getting McCollum, and it would be a win-win situation.
Yeah, but like if you look at they were the eighth seed this year, right?
Hmm.
But next year the Grizzlies are gonna have Jaren Jackson Jr. healthy. The Warriors are gonna be healthy. The
Oh yeah,
Suns are gonna the Suns are gonna come out. The Pelicans maybe. So it's gonna be competitive.
I don't
Yeah,
think the Suns are gonna make it competitive though.
but they're gonna have Booker and Aiden both like developing, getting better. They're gonna get
That's
better
true.
next season. Same thing with the Pelicans. I think that if any team's gonna get out, it's probably gonna be the Thunder.
Depends on how they deal with CP3, I guess.
Yeah. What would you do if you were like Thunder GM? Like, what would your move for next season be?
I mean, I appreciate like CP's like leadership for like Shea, but I think like at the end of the day he has to go. That contract is massive for a team that might become a rebuilding team.
Hmm. But like, would you rebuild or would you try to trade some of your picks? Because they got a lot of picks in that Paul George trade. Would you try to trade some of those picks to get possibly another like all-star caliber player and then actually go for the title next year?
I think a package with CP3 and those picks with a lot of interest in the trade scene.
Yeah, it would be a really good package. I think they should go for like maybe more of like a generational talent type player. Obviously, I don't think that the Giannis, Luka, Zion types are even on the market, and they wouldn't really make sense of that trade. But maybe if they could get like an expiring for CP3 and a bunch of picks for like an all-star superstar level player, that would be really good to pair with their young core.
Well, I mean, if I was OKC's GM, I would go the other way. There's the Lakers with LeBron and AD, Clippers with Kawhi and PG, the Warriors are back, the Bucks if Giannis stays. We don't know what the Sixers are gonna do, but they come back. So I honestly think it's better to like play the long game.
Yeah, rebuild. What would you
That's
think
what I'd
about
say.
if like the Thunder traded for like Devin Booker though? Like packaged a ton of picks. Like, do you think the Suns would say no if they got an offer for, let's say, um, Chris Paul? They took on like an expiring Suns, like a bad contract from them, and also like 5 first-round picks. I don't really see how the Suns could say no to that when Devin
No,
Booker might just leave anyway.
Well, like D Book is a guaranteed franchise player. You're trading away a guaranteed franchise player for a potential just like franchise player. Like, you don't know
But he's
what
not
you get.
guaranteed because he probably wouldn't be too happy if the Suns underperform next year as well. Always have the potential of leaving. Does he have like 1 or 2 years left on his contract?
I'm pretty
Devin Booker.
sure.
I
I'm
think he
pretty
signed a
sure.
new contract for
Oh,
like
a new contract.
I think he extended. Yeah, I'm not
yeah.
sure though. I can search it up right now.
Hmm. Or
I
he
don't think
could like force his way out, like demand a trade.
I don't think the Suns will ever trade Devin Booker unless he demands a trade because I feel
Hmm.
like he's just too valuable to that offense.
Yeah, I was reading some pieces though about how he could potentially want out. I think maybe some of the superstardom is kind of getting to his head. Not many people considered him an actual superstar up until the bubble, and he didn't even make the playoffs. But I do say they did perform well. Devin Booker was really good. But now, if he thinks that he's superstar level, he's probably not going to be content if the Suns don't actually pair him up with superstar level help and actually help him succeed to become a contender. I don't think he's going to be happy in the 30 win range.
Okay, so he signed an extension for 5 years, but it only kicked in this year, so he has 4 more years left.
4 years left. So the only opportunity for him to leave would be to demand a trade.
I think it's gonna be very interesting when that contract expires. If the Suns are still doing bad, you're gonna have a near prime Devin Booker
Mm-hmm.
out in the market.
How
Well,
old is he now? Like 23 or something?
yeah.
Yeah, 23.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, he's going to be prime Devin Booker.
yeah, that'd be
He
very
wants to play
interesting to
with
see.
he wants to play with D'Lo and Cat. Those three have said
Mm-hmm.
that they want to play together, but
That's it. That's I know.
that defense is gonna be so bad.
Yeah.
Well, you want to just move on to speaking of like young stars,
Mm-hmm.
Luka Doncic and the Mavs.
Oh, yeah.
I love Luca, man. The dude's a beast. Saw that game winner he hit on what's his name, Reggie Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
That was chilled down
He,
my spine.
he's a generational talent. He has the potential to be better than Giannis. He has the potential to be better than most of these young stars. Who would you rather have for like your franchise guy? Let's say they're on a 5 year contract and you can extend them for another 5 years. Would you rather have Giannis or Luca?
Luka by
Luca,
far.
Luca.
I'd also get Luca because Luca can make the people around him better. He's honestly kind of like a LeBron type playmaker, not with the same athleticism, of course, but a Harden type shooter, and he's also clutch and makes everybody around him better. He's honestly just a very
Right.
unique combination. He's taking what's best from all these other players, and if he has I know he has the work ethic. So if he can get a little bit more athletic over the next coming summers, then he could just be like honestly like an elite top 8 player of all time.
Definitely.
Imagine Giannis trying to take that game-winning shot.
That
Yeah,
would not work.
that's a brick. That's a brick. Giannis doesn't really have it in him, honestly. I think that Giannis might be one of the most tragic superstars in the coming era. I think there's a possibility Giannis never wins a title because I don't really see how he makes the players around him better. And when the offense has to be designed around you, Giannis can't play with another superstar. If he were to coexist with them, how would that even work? Giannis needs all the space on the floor to himself. So the ideal game plan for Giannis is just spread shooters around him. But you can't get like enough shooters if you're signing Giannis to some sort of supermax. That's why I think the Bucks might be kind of screwed if they want to keep holding on to him.
We need Giannis to develop a shot and some playmaking.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, I don't know if he can. Typically, in the past, when shooters want to develop a shot, really good players they do. Like for instance, LeBron. That's what people are saying about Giannis. You know, LeBron was kind of like Giannis in the early years. He was really athletic, but he didn't have a shot. People are saying Giannis is like the stronger, taller, better playmaking LeBron, and if he develops a shot, he's going to be elite. I don't know if he can develop a shot like that. I mean, those 7-foot guys, they say their hands are so big on the ball that it's just really hard to shoot naturally. You haven't seen like that elite playmaking scores that height since like Dirk.
I think he could like be able to knock down the open three, but I don't know about like a contested like step back or something. I don't see that.
Yeah, for sure.
Giannis taking a step back just doesn't look right to me.
Mm-hmm. So how would you rank like Giannis, Luka, Zion next 10 years?
Luka number
Next
1.
10 years.
Luka's 1, Giannis 2, Zion 3, in my opinion.
Agreed. Yeah.
The NBA trying to push Zion as like the next face of the NBA, but
I
it's Luka.
don't see Zion doing as good as what people hype him up.
Zion has a lot of red flags. I think that Giannis is at least like a sure thing top 3, top 5 NBA player for the next 10 years. And I think Luka is like a sure thing top like 50 all time and top 3, 5 the next couple of years. But I don't think that Zion has any guarantees, especially with all this injury risk. And
that's what I was going to say.
Yeah. But I'm not going to doubt him too much because he was just a rookie this year. He does have high upside potential to be like the next sort of LeBron type figure, but I don't really see him ever like eclipsing that. Like for instance, I think Luka could legitimately become the greatest player of all time.
Same.
Obviously, not even close to a high chance, but the probability is there if he's willing to get more athletic.
It's a non-zero like chance.
It's a non-zero chance. I think there's a 0 chance that Zion could become the best player of all time because I don't think that he could even potentially ever be better than LeBron.
I see Zion becoming sort of like a Zach Randolph type of player.
Yeah.
He's more athletic than Zach Randolph, though.
But like the play style and like how his career is gonna go towards, I see him like something like Zach Randolph.
But like, in what situation does Zion ever have a better career than LeBron did? Because he's a worse playmaker, worse shooter. Players around him don't get as good. He's less athletic. He's less of a good ball handler. Like,
surround Zion with 5 Ricky Rubios.
Yeah, I mean,
just lob it up to him every possession.
Mm-hmm. Could become another like Blake Griffin type player.
Mavericks also. I want to say that the Mavericks statistically the best offense in NBA history.
Yeah, they're also the biggest chokers in NBA history besides Luka. I don't really think that they're a clutch team. I think the surrounding cast around Luka could get a lot better in the coming years.
I mean, Seth Curry is good.
I don't think right now.
From
the supporting cast is not that bad, but definitely could have some improvement, especially with some of the guards' defense. Like you have Seth Curry with JJ Barrera.
Don't sleep on Seth Curry. He started the series 25 of 36.
And his defense is important.
I think if they keep Kristaps, they should just surround him with 3 deep players. To be honest, Luka and maybe like another like scoring wing. And then after that, just like have guards that can play defense and shoot the 3.
Kristaps is too injury prone though, not like to be honest.
Yeah, that is true. Maybe they could trade him for some like picks or something, and then flip that into another young player.
If Kristaps was healthy, it could have been 3-1 by the end of Game 4.
Yeah.
Well, what do you guys think about playoff P?
Pandemic P. Yeah, I mean, obviously he's been better in the past couple of games, but it's still embarrassing. He talks so much. He's not good. I don't think that any team with him as even the second best player has a good ceiling. He's a choker. He's never performed well in the playoffs. Like, I don't even know how he earned that nickname. Dude hasn't made it out of the first round in like an eternity. His best time is when he got completely clapped by LeBron. He literally just doesn't. He doesn't have high potential. He's like the sixth best three in the NBA. Like, I don't understand like the hype around Paul George. He's inconsistent. He's an overrated defender. He's literally like just a significantly worse version of Kawhi on the same team as Kawhi. I don't know why the Clippers would trade their future for this one player who's like literal trash.
The guy, he said he's not James Harden in the playoffs. And
Yeah, James Harden
11
performs
points
much better than Paul
on
George in the
20%
playoffs.
I mean, look at last game, man. Look at those shooting splits from James Harden. I don't think you can really put PG-13 and Harden on the same level.
Say anything. They're setting the entire offenses at Harden. Do you think that the Mavericks defense, do you think that the Mavericks coach is like, you know who we need to really guard? Paul George. No, nobody's scared of you, Paul George. That's why you're not getting defended like James Harden gets defended.
Dude, in game 4, his like scoring splits were 7 points in the first quarter, which is good, right? 0 points in the second quarter, 0 points in the third quarter, and 0 points in the fifth quarter, and then hit a layup in overtime.
Dude, if Paul George was on a high school basketball team, I guarantee you he wouldn't be the leading scorer, okay? He's not built to be the alpha. He's not built to perform well. I don't think that if Paul George was against like a rec team in game 7, he'd be able to perform. It's all in his head.
Never forget when Herman said Paul George could go off in the predictions.
Yeah,
Hey,
Paul
man.
George could
Look,
go on.
man. Hey, man, when he was on the Pacers, do not forget that.
He got swept in 2017. They traded him and then took LeBron to 7. I'm just saying.
Yeah, Paul George is
Hey, man,
like
that's it.
Patrick Beverly, but with worse defense and slightly taller.
Hey, man.
Dude, man.
All right. Just wait.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's gonna drop like a 2 of 16 closeout game against the Mavs tonight.
Yeah. And then they're gonna face the Nuggets Jazz winner, right?
Yeah.
Probably gonna win that series. So I guess Paul George won't get embarrassed until they either face the Lakers or the Rockets.
I want to see Paul George guarding AD in the conference finals.
Oh, he's gonna get absolutely like. I want to see him go against LeBron. So like matchup wise, you probably have AD on the 4, Paul George on the 4, Kawhi and LeBron 3.
Yeah.
So he's gonna have to go against AD, Paul George. I don't see where he scores a single point on that.
Yeah, it's gonna be very interesting seeing Clippers and Lakers because like Lakers played at 2 men starting. I mean, not 2 men, 2 big men on the starting lineup.
Yeah.
And Clippers like they have Montrez and Zubac. I don't really see that going very well for them.
Will be interesting is if it's Lakers Rockets when the Lakers are playing 2 5s and the Rockets are playing not a 4 or a 5. Like it's gonna be kind of rough.
I think Rockets small ball versus Lakers. I think it's a 1-1 series right now in the regular season.
The Lakers aren't as athletic as people think they are. LeBron is obviously a little bit older. Anthony Davis isn't like as young as he used to be. He can't run as well as he used to be. And then they also just don't have that many like elite defenders. They lost Avery Bradley, of course. Caruso can't do anything. Kuzma can't do anything. I think that the Rockets and Lakers would just be a really high scoring series.
Like last night, LeBron and AD showed like what they could do if they were both on, like playing at their best. LeBron had a 30-point triple-double and AD dropped 43.
Yeah. They're the best one too in the NBA, undoubtable.
KCP's turned it around too after that atrocious game 1.
After
an atrocious career, like
his entire 2020 season's just been a meme to laugh at.
Yeah.
Well, the Jazz Nuggets has been a pretty good series.
That's been interesting.
Yes.
The 2 most uninteresting teams in the NBA, in my opinion. But
the Hornets are way
Nuggets.
more interesting.
Look at the Nuggets, man. Don't sleep on them.
The Nuggets are more interesting than the Hornets.
I don't like Jazz fans. I don't like Nuggets fans. I literally had to mute the word Jokic on Twitter because of all the advanced stats. Like this dude is not Michael Jordan. He's good. He's a defensive liability. He's unathletic. Like Jokic is obviously elite, but Nuggets Jazz, it's an uninteresting series to me, but I can see how it's very competitive. The team that's going to get beat by Paul George and the Clippers in this next round.
Well, the two guards have been good. Donovan Mitchell dropped two 50-point bombs.
Oh yeah, that
Yeah,
has been
that's just insane.
the Mitchell Murray back and forth.
Dude, Jamal Murray in game 3 and 4, he's totaled 92 points and 15 assists on 0 turnovers.
Wow.
And Mike Conley's been playing insane too after the birth of his child. I think he's been shooting 60% from 3 right now.
Superpowers.
Yeah, the Nuggets defense is so trash without Gary Harris or Will Barton.
Because I was reading something. The Nuggets actually have their two best players. They're both defensive liabilities. Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic. They're defensive liabilities. Like they're good at offense and they're not absolutely abominable at defense. But you can't have either of those two guarding the other team's best player under any circumstance. And they also can't switch onto bigger or smaller men because Jamal Murray's small and Jokic isn't like as agile or versatile. So any like team with an elite offense, let's say even like the Clippers running their two guards and a good supporting cast against them, I don't really see how the Nuggets are like up to like could actually defend a good team. They're letting Donovan Mitchell absolutely shred them.
Yeah, I think that's a good example.
What's up with their defense? Isn't Jamal Murray like 6'5" point guard, and like no, Jokic is a 7-foot body? Like what stops them from being?
I don't think the hustle is there on defense. Like when I see Jokic play on defense, it's really basic. It's really one dimensional. It's really easy to take advantage.
Yeah, Jokic too busy hustling to the buffet. Like,
Didn't he cut weight like during quarantine though?
Yeah, he cut a
he
lot
did
of
lose
weight.
weight.
Or did he go back up? Like Zion. I'm just kidding. Well, what about Rockets Thunder? How do you feel, Rockets fan, about the performance?
I love that game 5, man. That was beautiful. That was beautiful by James Harden. It sucked to see Westbrook not be his old self. I think it's just rust coming out of him.
Yeah, I mean, it's really great that the Rockets can rest Westbrook and still blow out Thunder completely. They're just amazing masterpiece of a game right there, and I think they can close it out, whether it be in 6 or 7.
Eric Gordon finally had a good game for once.
Oh my gosh. I could go on for hours about how much of a bum Eric Gordon is. Literally, if you see a shot, it's flat. If I see Eric Gordon release a 3-pointer, I already assume it's not going in. I don't care that he like almost won a 3-point contest or that he's actually a good like percentage shooter. It doesn't look good. And he's short. Sometimes he has good plays driving to the basket, but I think that he's a defensive and an offensive liability. It absolutely baffles me why he hasn't been traded.
Tired.
Yeah.
If it was a game-winning 3, who would you rather have? Playoff P, Danny Green, Ben Simmons, or playoff Eric Gordon?
I'd rather have myself, but I guess I'd have to like default to Paul George. I hate Paul George.
I mean, Eric Gordon's shooting 20% from 3 in the Rockets Thunder series. Last game he shot very well, and I think that's just because he stopped taking his threes and started driving to the basket.
Yeah.
Eric Gordon is short, but he has a really big frame, and that really helps him in the paint when I see him body the other smaller guards from the Thunder. That's why he was so efficient last game, but it scares me to see how he's performing against the Thunder when then a shooter is guarding him, when you're going to have LeBron or the other forwards from the Lakers guarding next series.
But I just don't see what purpose Eric Gordon provides the Rockets. Because let's say you want a good shooter. You already got Harden, and your entire rest of the team
Robert
is 3
Covington,
and D. You got Rocco, you got House, and then let's say, oh no, we want a guard that's small, that's athletic, that can drive to the basket. You literally have Russell Westbrook on your team. You have a much better version of Eric Gordon, who like also like can't shoot. But I mean, it's fine because Westbrook is much better than Eric Gordon in every way. And Eric Gordon also isn't that great on defense. When you have better defensive ones that can play for you, like I don't know why during this series where Westbrook wasn't really playing, they could just have Harden run the one whole offense around him, and then just like sit Eric Gordon, just wait to be traded. Like honestly, he doesn't provide any value to the Rockets when he's playing.
This dude. But you want to talk about Jeff Green or Daniel House? Jeff Green 17-6 or something like that, and Daniel House 16-7.
Oh,
It's
they're just
beautiful.
great players.
I love them. I love them. 50% from three from Daniel House. Like, sorry, those are beautiful numbers to see from
They're
a Rockets fan,
athletic.
especially last year when Daniel House was choking in the playoffs.
Yeah. They're athletic. They hustle. They're good. You know, Daniel House went to Hightower.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow, really?
Yeah. Say he was going to become a doctor, then he went to the NBA.
For game five, Harden's efficiency kind of dropped, to be honest. Like he was only shooting 33% from three and 44% like overall. But he brought it way back up last night.
Yeah.
He figured out Lou Dort. That's the problem.
Or is just a worse Andre Roberson.
Yeah. Honestly, Harden figures out his defender before the defender can figure out Harden. Like it amazes me why the teams don't just like still continue to let Harden perform at all. They should honestly just lock him down. Like he's such an offensive problem that eats everything, throw everything at him. The Thunder should have, if Lou Dort didn't work, they should have doubled Harden.
Lou Dort shot 0 of 9 from three and 3 of 16 overall.
Mm-hmm.
Why were they letting him shoot? They should have been like, stop shooting the ball. He took 9 threes and
It's that I love the Rockets' rotational defense. It's like it helps people in the paint and it closes out people on the 3-point line. I think that's why they forced Lou Dort to shoot 9 threes.
Yeah. People say that the Rockets have bad defense. Harden has been amazing on defense, and the rest of their team is just a defensive nightmare for any other team. The only hole I see in the Rockets' defense is if they go against like an actual elite big man, which
Harden's
they will.
decent in the post. Like he can hold his own at certain possessions.
It's that belly weight,
Oh,
man.
shit, yeah.
He can guard like power forwards, but AD is not a normal power forward.
Yeah, that'll be rough to see who guards AD. I think they should just like put PJ Tucker on him and like get in his head, and then just like hope he doesn't score, and then throw like their best wing at LeBron, and then just like sag off on everybody else, force them there.
Yeah, for Rocket fans, I'm worried about Roko. Like last time he was in the playoffs, he was atrocious. So I don't know like how he's gonna do against like an actual title contender.
He's
I
got better
think
teammates.
he's gotten way better. I think Rocco, I think this is the year for him to shine because I think last night he just broke his career high for 3-pointers in a playoff game. So I think this is light for him, but you never really knows what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
I think Roko's like a textbook like 3-and-D player that you'd want. Just, like,
Oh, for
as a role
sure.
player.
I remember 2018, 2019, just like looking at the trade machine to find every single way the Rockets could get Rocco because he's like the exact player you want on an NBA team. If you're building an NBA team, literally, besides like an elite superstar, he's the number one type of player you want. Elite at 3, elite at D, efficient. That's great.
Herman, how do you feel about the Thunder shenanigans with the with
With the Dennis Shooter foul,
yeah, didn't CP3 also in the
yeah, in
mid-point
game
area?
3, that disgusts me, and especially when CP3 like no foul was called on CP3 on that play either. And I don't think PJ deserved to get ejected after that. That was such a light head bump compared to that. Like, it was basically a swing down his crotch. Like, I don't think.
How's CP3 playmaking been doing? Like I looked at his stats, and he's only been averaging 4 assists per game in the series. Like I don't. That's kind of like out of character for him.
When
I
watching
think
the games, he looks pretty good. I just think the numbers aren't translating.
in like game 4, game 3, Chris Paul is actually doing really well playmaking wise, and that's a game that they did win. It's just that Rockets are really good at reading the passing lanes and stuff, so that helps. I mean, that doesn't help Chris Paul his assist numbers. So.
Yeah, that might be the most interesting second round Lakers and Rockets. Just seeing how the two like matchups, like how they match up together.
Who are they putting on Harden?
Maybe Danny Green.
All right, don't make me laugh, bro. That's
Because
I mean,
but honestly, though, like their best move would probably be to like
Alex
put, like
Caruso.
LeBron on Harden, but LeBron's
Alex
like
Caruso.
gonna get dusted.
Alex Caruso is gonna hold
oh my
Harden.
god, I forgot about that, man.
Yeah.
Jeez.
How are they gonna hold either of them, Westbrook and Harden?
Exactly. They don't have good defensive guards anymore. If they had Avery Bradley, honestly, I'd say Lakers in 5 or 4. But they don't have any answer. Harden could go off for like 50 a game, and the Lakers would just have no answer. However, Anthony Davis could also go off for 50 a game, so it's really just like a toss up there. The Lakers do have the stronger roster though, with the better clutch players.
What's JaVale McGee gonna do on defense?
Not just stand there, honestly. Like, what are you gonna do? Go to the 3 point line and like chase around Danwell House the entire game? Like, he doesn't really have a purpose there.
He shouldn't even like go up and pick and rolls. He should just like stay in the paint or something.
Yeah,
Because him on Harden that's a guaranteed bucket for
yeah,
him.
ankle
That's a
break.
that's a highlight for Harden, man.
Yeah,
And then, well, we've discussed the West, and the East has been way more boring than the West.
hmm
So Magic and Bucks are the only team not to go. Don't be a sweep. It's like sad for the Bucks.
In the Magic, the first seed. Come on, man.
I can't I can't see the Bucks making the finals, to be honest.
same. I honestly, even though they won the last 4 games in that series, they didn't look that great. Like, the Magic are an awful team. They really should have been just like absolutely blowing them out. Giannis shouldn't have played a single fourth quarter in that series, and I don't think that Giannis really has what it takes. It's not even the supporting cast. It's honestly like Giannis at this point. If he's really a superstar, he should just be going at the Magic offensively.
I'm
And
convinced.
especially all the
I'm
East teams, like, oh, go ahead, go ahead.
You go.
I didn't say anything.
All right.
Go ahead,
I'm
Alan.
convinced that Chris Middleton only shows up against the Celtics in the playoffs.
Yeah,
Middleton's a bum in the
Mhm.
playoffs.
he really is.
Hey, Herman, what do you want to say?
I was gonna say Celtics, Raptors, and who else is in the East? In the
Heat.
playoffs?
He
The Heat. They have all of it. All three teams have amazing wing defenders. I just don't see Giannis striving in the playoffs.
I got Heat in 7. I got my boy Jimmy Buckets. He's gonna lead that team.
because they're putting Bam on Giannis, right?
Probably Bam's like big and like,
They're
he's
gonna if they neutralize Giannis, they win that series. I mean, I still have the Bucks winning that. I think that actually it's an easier matchup for them. I think that they could create a lot of mismatches there. Simple pick and roll, and you got like Giannis like driving on Goran Dragic. I think that he can pull through there. But next series, whether it be Raptors or Celtics, I don't think that Giannis can actually pull through against them.
the Heat won the regular season matchup, but that might not be a good indicator for playoff success. But I just like the Heat team. They got Jimmy Buckets and shooters around him, and then they got Bam in the post. It's just such a nice team.
It's a nice team that's not as talented as the Bucks, just being honest. I think that Chris Middleton is marginally better than Jimmy Butler, actually. And I don't think the Heat have what it takes to actually become like a legit contender, even though they were really frisky during this season.
So how would you rank Chris Middleton, Jimmy Butler, and Paul George?
Chris Middleton, Jimmy Butler, Paul George.
Dang. Well, for the Magic, I was watching Markel Fultz primarily for the Magic. I liked him when he got drafted, but he forgot to shoot. But
Yeah, that's a great take.
he's been good. Like for these five, he's been decent. 12 points, 5 assists, and he's been able to knock down his threes at a decent percentage. So that might be a good sign for the Magic in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Especially since they won game one without Jonathan Isaac, Eric Gordon, or Mo Bamba.
Vucevic needs to get out of there though. He does not need to stay there. He's literally carrying the whole entire roster on his back.
Aaron Gordon?
No,
Nah,
Vucevic.
Vucevic.
Oh, Yusevich, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, he needs to get out of there. Fournier was so trash.
hmm
He was shooting 33% and 32% from three last time I checked. But so Raptors and Nets. So what? That was like an easy sweep. Everyone knew that they were gonna destroy them.
Yeah.
But how do you think about? So I saw this on Reddit. Pascal Siakam in the regular season against non-playoff teams, he scored 26 PPG on 50, 40, 80 shooting. But then against actual playoff teams, he only scored 20 points per game on 40, 30, and 78 shooting. Is that a red sign? Is that a red flag?
Nah, margin of error. He's great. I have never seen him like actually like choke. I don't know if he has what it takes to be the superstar to help the Raptors win, but I think that as like a second or third option, he could be a really good player.
Compare the 04 Pistons to this Raptors team. No No, like, but defined superstar, suffocating defense. Like,
Hmm.
do you think they could be comparable? A solid starting lineup on both teams.
I think they could, but I think that the rest of the league's better than it was in '04. So I don't really see how the Raptors win.
So who do you have? You have Celtics beating the Raptors.
Yes.
The Celtics did destroy them in game one, but
Mhm.
I think it was just an off night. I think that it will be way more competitive, and I think the Raptors will be able to close it out.
Yeah.
Yes, I think especially with the Raptors guards that have in Van Vliet, Kyle Lowry, and I don't know if you consider Norman Powell a guard, but he's also doing really good this year. I feel like
Mhm.
they'll even if they don't make the finals, I think they'll make it very competitive.
Yeah.
It's interesting how their defense is so good when they're starting two 6 foot guards.
Yeah, for sure.
And a 6'4" small forward.
Nick Nurse is just a genius coach, honestly, with all of his defensive schemes.
Nick Nurse is a good like defensive coach. He makes the right rotations. Like when the Warriors had Clay and KD go down, box and one. I don't think any coach would even want to have like a box and one in an NBA Finals game, but he figured it out and they ultimately did win. So I think Nick Nurse is a dependable coach, at least on defense, and they'll be better for game two.
Mhm.
So, Celtics and Sixers. What were your thoughts on that?
Sixers are a bunch of bums, honestly. Like, I don't know how you have this much talent and you lose every year to the Celtics. Like, I'm a Celtics fan. The Celtics aren't that great. Like, the Sixers should be winning this series. Ben Simmons should. I mean, the Sixers are just a disappointment, and they made the right choice by firing Brooke Brown.
Yeah, I
I
think we'll
thought,
go ahead.
I mean, you can go first.
All right, I feel like what was really holding back the Sixers was Brett Brown and the GM. Signing Tobias Harris to that max instead of Jimmy
Yeah,
Butler was a
dude,
huge mistake.
And Al Horford. What are you
And
going to do?
yeah, with
I don't
an
know
old, unathletic
LSU.
who
guard.
in their right mind would sign Al Horford when you have a franchise center. He doesn't want to play
Dude,
the four.
they signed Tobias Harris to a max contract. He's not a max player.
It's the sixth highest contract in NBA history. He deserves like the 6,000th highest contract in NBA history. He's not a max player. Honestly, if Tobias Harris is your second best player, you're not winning a title. And if Tobias Harris is on a max deal, anybody could understand that.
I could understand why he got a max deal when he was still on the Clippers, but on the 76ers where he's sharing the floor with three other stars, I don't think that's
Dude,
just not
Tobias
smart.
Harris and Al Horford, two big contracts combined for 2 threes the entire series. 2 threes.
Yeah,
That's just,
two
just
threes and
you're
like
giving a
14 feet tall.
You're giving me a seven. You signed Al Horford a 7 points per game player to an almost max contract just because you didn't want him guarding Embiid. That's like just terrible. That's just a terrible signing right there.
The only reason they signed Horford was to like not have the Celtics have him guarding Embiid in the playoffs. It's like you couldn't have just figured out some other good way to do that. Like I think that the NBA team's biggest mistake here. Why are you not playing some form of small ball? Why do you have two centers starting on your team?
Why did they
With
trade
Ben
Jimmy Butler?
Simmons.
They traded Jimmy Butler for a worse version of Jimmy Butler.
Exactly. Like it just makes zero sense. Jimmy Butler was their best player on that team. They should need to change. They need. If you were the GM, would you trade Joel Embiid or Ben Simmons?
Trade them both. They got to restart. We got to blow it up. Hit that
Trust
nuclear
the
button.
process.
I think that actually is a good choice to trade them both.
Trust the process part two. I thought this was gonna be Embiid's like coming out series, where he was gonna put up like 40 points per game, 15 rebounds, or something ridiculous like that. Because Daniel Tice should not be locking up
Yeah,
Joel Embiid.
yeah. Joel Embiid's probably just like googling like how to sell his house in Philadelphia at this point. Like he did not look like he wanted to be there. He did not look like he wanted to be there the entire season. I don't even know if he wants to win.
I'm
Yeah, the
pretty sure.
Sixers are
I'm pretty sure before the season, Joel Embiid was like, I have 4 goals in mind: MVP, DPOY, best record in the league, and NBA championship. And he didn't even hit any of them. Like he hasn't
Anything
even
close.
he wasn't even in conversation for any of these things.
Exactly. And it's like, how are you an NBA player and getting winded in the third quarter of an NBA game? Like, this seems like at least just like a basic request to like be in shape to play in the NBA.
Embiid will like come out for like 3 games and be like dominant, and then he'll be like, okay, I can chill now. Like I don't have to. Oh, this player's driving in. I'll just put my hand up. I won't even go and contest it. Like
He needs a wake up call to be traded.
Yeah, like 76ers, like even though they did perform really bad, I think a really big problem was just like the system they're in. Like the players, like Tobias Harris, Ben Simmons, and B, they're all really good players in my opinion, but they just don't fit well together.
Hmm.
why did they let any of JJ Redick, Jimmy Butler, or Trey Burke leave?
I know they're the, like the shooters they needed in the team. Not
What
have
was even the
Shake
point of
Milton,
that?
Korkmaz, Zemka.
Hmm.
Who do they want to keep? Raw Neto, Furkin Korkmaz. This
Korkmaz not bad in my opinion.
Yeah, but come on now, Jimmy Butler, JJ Redick, and Trey Burke, or do you want Raw Neto, Shake Milton, and Furkan Korkmaz? It's not even a conversation.
Yeah.
I think the Celtics or Raptors are going to go to the finals though. I don't see the Bucks
Yeah.
going, and the Heat aren't as talented. But in the playoff bracket tournament, I might just put Heat just because it's an unpopular opinion. So if they do win, I might get that upside.
Edge.
That yeah.
Yeah. I
But
think at this point, I got a Celtics Lakers series in that finals. Like,
if Kristaps wasn't out right now, I might just say Mavs would make the finals. 7th seed Mavs.
are they down 3-2?
They're down.
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
playing
they're
right
down
now.
3-2 right now. They're playing right now. It's last time I checked, it was tied game
Oh, wow.
without Kristaps.
Luca's
Dude,
Luca's a superstar, man.
this team is so good, but they just got hit by that big injury.
Hmm.
I'm gonna check Paul George's stat line. Oh, he's actually been pretty good. 9 points in 13 minutes.
Yeah, wow. That was
Good for
crazy.
Tell
him.
you, man. Tell me it's gonna come back. It's
Dude,
gonna come back.
who is that dude, Raja Bell? When Paul George came out, I was like, dude, this bub hasn't been good for me mentally. And
Like,
Raja
nobody
Bell was
wants
like,
to hear
yeah, he's like, no one
Nobody
cares.
wants to hear that.
That's
With
that
yourself,
was
Paul George. So Raja Bell works for The Ringer. That's Bill Simmons' company. I think Bill Simmons said on a podcast he did, he was talking about Paul George. He was like, Paul George and Ross from Friends were on a team together. Paul George would not be the alpha dog. Like, they just Paul George slander.
I don't think Paul George has ever been the alpha dog besides when he was on the Pacers.
I would feel
Yeah.
better for Paul George if he wasn't like so dumb like in post game. Like in post game, he's like, I'm not James Harden. The Mavs defense hasn't actually been that good. What else did he say? He said that he doesn't even post on Instagram. He doesn't engage in social media.
Yeah,
Like,
he reminds me of me and people my age talking about like playing video games. Like, nah, no, I'm
Yeah.
really good. I'm really
And, that,
good.
and the little quote he posted, I forgot what it was, but that was just such a
dude, it was so
childish thing to do.
He was like,
Yeah,
why are you
it's like
doing
if you're 15, 16, I guess that's funny. You're in the
You're
NBA,
a
Paul
millionaire
George.
NBA player on a
He's a grown man, man.
Yeah, you're a grown man and you're still talking all this trash and not backing it up. It's not competitive, it's just stupid.
He also limited his comments on Instagram, so
Yeah.
he would stop getting on.
Mm.
There were some good nicknames. PG 3 for 13.
PG 13%.
Privacy P because he turned off the comments.
Private
Oh yeah,
PG.
speaking of the Clippers, I hated. Did you see what Marcus Morris did to Luca? That
Oh
was
yeah. So
That was dirty.
disrespectful.
That was dirty.
So disrespectful.
Dude, Luca's already playing with an injured. His Robin is injured. He's injured, and you're just stepping on his ankle. Like what's even the point of that?
I love, like at the beginning of the season, I loved the Clippers roster because like I love having two good defensive wings. But like after like the regular season and all this trash talk we're doing to the
Dude,
Mavericks,
are the Clippers like other than Kawhi? Are the Clippers trying to be like the most annoying team?
I have no idea. Honestly, if I was Kawhi, I'd literally be just like face
I feel
palming
bad for
right
Kawhi.
now.
Kawhi only left Toronto to be with his family or his mom.
Yeah, he's the most like respectful, like quiet, calm NBA player, and he's been performing well.
How can you hate Kawhi, man?
Dude, he
He's
has to
all-
deal with Paul George, Patrick Beverly, Montrezl Harrell, Marcus
Yeah.
Morris.
Lou was a good guy too, though.
Yeah, if I was Kawhi, I'd be like, all right, let's ask the Thunder. We're trading Paul George, and then our next 5 picks from like 2026 to 2031, just for them to take him back.
Just take back Paul George.
Yeah, like get him out of here.
Give him back Shai. Give him back Shai.
Mm-hmm. If I was in a rec league with Paul George, I'd request a trade away from Paul George.
I know,
Nobody
like,
wants to play with
I
that
know, like
player.
they were doing switch everything, but I don't like their defense on that final possession. Everyone knew Luka was shooting that ball. Like, obviously, if
Put
Kawhi like
Kawhi
tried,
on Luka.
yeah, I don't like Rick Carlisle was smart. He was like whoever Reggie Jackson's guarding, just set a screen and switch. But I think like Kawhi and Paul George should have been like trapping him or something. Like Paul George is hiding on Seth Curry. Why are you hiding on 6'2" Seth Curry?
Exactly.
I would rather have Reggie on Seth Curry than have Kawhi and PG doing that trap half
Yeah,
court.
just have Kawhi and PG like being able both like near Luka. Luka's gonna shoot it every single time. If you repeat the play every single time he's shooting it, so there's no reason for him to be guarding Seth Curry.
Mhm.
And Seth Curry is dogging him too. Did you see what Seth Curry did? He was like, because Paul George like cheated on Seth Curry's wife.
I mean,
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
Seth
that
Curry
was
like did some
crazy.
trash talking too.
Oh
Well
yeah.
deserved. Well deserved though.
I'm happy for
Oh,
Seth Curry.
and it's Austin Rivers. It's Doc Rivers' daughter, right?
Yeah, he cheated on Doc Rivers' daughter. That's
So
crazy.
Austin Rivers' sister.
How
That's
does Doc
crazy.
Rivers even coach Paul George
Yeah,
without being
exactly.
this dude? I'm sorry, I don't like making like judgments of people I don't know, but Paul George is like kind of.
I mean, I already been making the judgments. I've never liked Paul George. You go back and listen to our first podcast. I never liked Paul George.
I remember when yeah, like 2017 and like CJ Miles took the game-winning shot and missed, and Paul George was like, "It should be me shooting."
I remember that. I mean, I kind
Oh
of
yeah.
agreed with it there.
No man, CJ Miles had a wide open shot. He's gonna take it. CJ Miles isn't a bad shooter, and he was wide
Mm.
open. That's not a bad shot. You know what is a bad shot though?
But
Dame's game winner. That's what Paul
yeah,
George
I know,
did.
right?
That's
He
a
said
bad.
that's a
Man,
bad
Badger
shot.
has a terrible history of his
Yeah,
like talking, man.
bad shot, then guard it.
He needs to
should
learn from Kawhi.
Yeah, he should
Be
just let
quiet when
Kawhi talk for him or whatever. Just like don't talk. Just do what Kawhi does. Kawhi's been pretty good.
Or just be a role player. Or literally just be a role player.
Like
Score 15 a game and just play good defense, Paul
speaking of
George.
Kawhi, like how do you think he's gonna rank like all time?
Depends. If he wins another title, he could be like top 20. If he doesn't win anything else, he's probably top 50.
Do you think Kawhi could be a top 5 small forward of all time?
Top 5 small forwards. There you're talking about
We got
Larry Bird,
LeBron, KD, Larry Bird,
KD's 3,
Elgin Baylor. If
other Baylor's 4. Who
could
else?
could we put Kawhi in that top 5?
It could be 5. If he
he
wins
could.
another title. I don't think he's there yet.
Who
But
else, wait, let me Google this. Who else is on that?
Who would rank higher all time in your opinion, Curry or Kawhi? I say Curry,
Curry.
like by far.
Well, that's not even a question. Oh, Scottie Pippen's on that top five.
Oh,
what
Scottie
about
Pippen. Oh, Scottie Pippen's way better than Kawhi.
Scottie Pippen?
Carmelo
Scottie Pippen's better
Anthony.
than Elgin Baylor.
Carmelo's not
I
gonna be high as Kawhi.
I don't think I know this person. John Havlicek. I don't know how you
Oh,
say.
Havlicek,
How much
is he a
really
good
good?
shooter?
Elgin Baylor, Julius
Havlicek.
Erving.
I think he might be just out of top 5 then.
Oh yeah, you're right. No. He's 6 because you got KD, LeBron, Larry Bird, Elgin Baylor, Scottie Pippen.
Wait,
But
how
yeah, I
good
think Karen is right when he's talking about that. When he wins another title, I could see him being in the top
how
five.
good is John Havlicek?
He was really good. I think he
Isn't
played
he a
with the
good shooter?
Celtics, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was a decent shooter. I don't know how his defense was though.
Yeah,
I think
played
think
like the
without-
70s or something.
I think without a doubt, everyone's top three should have Larry Bird, LeBron James, and Kevin Durant. I think without a doubt.
Wait, speaking of all time, hey Kyron, who's better, Shaq or Hakeem?
Hakeem, 100%.
Thank you.
Hakeem is much better. Not even like from like the Rockets' perspective here. Let's think about it. All right, when Jordan wasn't in the NBA, Hakeem was the person to win 2 titles. Undoubtedly, the second best player in the '90s. He completely clapped Shaq on that one, like just one-on-one
Say a lot
in
of-
the series.
say a
He's
lot of-
undoubtedly better.
You can't
Shaq
even
had help.
You can't guard
Shaq had help. Kobe was better than Shaq
No, he
in
wasn't.
at least
Not
2001.
Okay, now that's not true.
Shaq.
No, that's not
Shaq
true.
was the best player in the 3P era.
I mean, just because you're 300 pounds, you can dunk doesn't mean you're like goated.
But how do you guard Shaq?
In terms of
Find
terms
like
of-
a 400-pound person.
in terms of skill, in terms of athleticism, and in terms of all defensive stats, Hakeem is all better.
Hakeem is top 10 all time.
I
Definitely.
don't know, man. I don't know if he is top 10.
Name 9 players better than Hakeem.
We got MJ.
1,
Kareem,
2,
LeBron,
3,
other MJ, Magic Johnson,
yeah, 4,
Larry Bird,
5,
Kobe,
begrudgingly 6.
Tim Duncan,
No. Or okay, fine. Give you 7,
Bill Russell,
8.
Wilt Chamberlain.
Then you're done. He's 10.
Nah, man, Steph Curry, man.
And Steph Curry is not better than Hakeem Olajuwon. Steph Curry is not better than KD.
Who changed the NBA forever?
I mean,
Changed the
who
NBA forever.
lost from 3-1?
Who changed the NBA forever?
A lot of players.
Did Hakeem ever choke a 3-1?
Yeah.
Did Hakeem ever go up 3-1?
Hakeem came back from 3-1.
Exactly.
Curry came back down 3-1 before.
Yeah, and then lost 3-1 right after. I mean, that's whatever. Yeah.
I'm trying to see like some rankings. I'm gonna look at who's like I'm gonna look at ESPN's top 10 of all time. I'm looking at I'll look at their like 11th and stuff and see who else might be better than Hakeem.
ESPN, I don't know. They don't make the best list in my opinion. I feel like they make their list bad on purpose just to get views.
What about KD?
What?
KD 7 foot scorer as a he's basically a 7 foot guard.
Gotta talk about career here.
Is the defense KD's defense compared to Hakeem it's not
He has
comparable.
good defense.
Well, I don't think you ever put Kevin Durant on a defensive player of the year.
KD can guard 1 through 4 and small fives.
Can't guard the 5. No, Hakeem could guard the 1.
Yeah,
he could guard the 1.
Yeah,
Hakeem could guard the 1.
he played soccer. He had the best footwork in NBA history.
He was the most versatile player on defense.
He can't shoot. The KD
He can shoot the mid range. He can shoot the mid range.
Hakeem can't dribble like KD can.
If Hakeem played in this era, he'd learn how to shoot threes.
Hakeem can't Twitter like KD. Hakeem can't Twitter like KD can.
You're right. I'll give you that one.
If Hakeem was KD, he would have just joined Jordan and won 8 titles.
Ooh.
They're sleeping on the Utah Jazz, John Stockton and Karl Malone.
Mm-hmm.
That's a top 3 duo of all time right there.
It very was.
Wait, who would your top 3 duos be?
Our MJ and Scottie Pippen.
Kobe and Shaq.
Kobe, Shaq.
Steph Curry,
LeBron.
Curry and KD.
Curry and KD, yeah.
I'll put Curry and KD.
And then LeBron Wade.
Oh, LeBron Wade, yeah. No, LeBron Wade isn't just like the best duo on the court. They're also they're like best friends off the court.
Yeah.
Kobe and Shaq hated each other. Curry and KD aren't like that close, I guess. And who knows what the. All right, so like, is this?
Yeah, I'm looking forward for the next round 2. This is where it starts getting interesting.
Very interesting. I think besides the Clippers or the Jazz or Nuggets, I think that's the only series we know there's a definite winner. I think every other series is pretty competitive.
Agree. No, I think the Bucks see. I don't see how the Bucks lose.
I want to see Harden in the finals.
I want to see Harden with a ring.
Me too.
If Harden wins a ring, he's top 3 shooting guard of all time, in my opinion.
Honestly, right here, I think that the best contenders are the Lakers, and then the Rockets, and then the Celtics, and then the Raptors, and then the Clippers.
And then the Heat.
If Harden wins a ring, he's better than Dwayne Wade.
Yeah, for sure.
Nah, if Harden wins a ring, Dwayne Wade's gonna rate that a 9 out of 10.
Yeah. Honestly, if Harden wins the ring, the slander will still come. Harden's the most overhated player in NBA history.
What if Harden puts up 22, 7-7 on 42, 32, 80 shooting? Is that still good enough for you to be?
Nah, they're gonna say he's a choker.
I don't think he'll even put that little amount of points on the team. I don't think that's possible.
Yeah.
What would he have to average for people to stop calling him a hater? I mean, stop calling him a choker.
60, 20, and 20 on 60, 50, 100 shooting.
And watch
Harden,
it happen. And watch it happen.
60, 60, 60, 20, 20 in the whole series. Get out of here.
Hey man, no center, man. Harden's getting all those boards.
Yeah.
He hasn't even put up 60, 20, 20 in a game. Well, he's been coming close, but he hasn't even done that in one game yet.
Yeah. I mean, that was a joke, but honestly, he'd probably have to average.
He'd have to average at least 30 something points for sure. I
Nah.
think.
Yeah, like 37 and like 37, 8 and 8.
I think that's pretty plausible too. Especially in video.
I think he doesn't have to put up 30.
55% field goal percentage.
I think he could put up like 33 and that would still be fine.
I mean, it depends.
I wonder how the Raptors like. Do you think the Raptors could lock up Harden and Westbrook?
No.
They put up a fight. No, not at
They
all.
put Kyle Lowry or Fred VanVleet on Harden.
Yeah.
Van Vliet, I think.
I'm sorry, but imagining Fred VanVleet trying to lock up Harden is just kind of funny because of how small Fred VanVleet is.
Mm-hmm.
I think they would rather have Van Vliet on Harden just because Lowry's just not fast enough for Harden.
Honestly, if Harden used that mid range more, he'd be so good. Like he could just body this little guard, step back and take a mid range.
You should have saw what he did to Dennis Schroeder last game before he got ejected.
Mm-hmm.
That was just sad, man. He was bullying him. But
Okay, so
Yeah.
So let's just end it here. So the first round has been pretty interesting, and we can't wait for the second round to see who makes it to conference finals.
Mhm.
We'll have the best predictions and analysis here on Law of Ball.
Yeah.
So remember to tune in next week.
Next week for our round 2 recap, round 3 predictions. Every week from there, and let's see who wins the title.
all
All
right.
right.
All right.
See you guys.
Sounds good.
See y'all later.